Hello, Bloomington. Welcome to the Council Minute for the week of July 27th. I'm Councilmember Patrick Martin, filling in this week for Mayor Busse. This week, I'd like to provide a quick summary of three important discussions we had during the council meeting. First, COVID and face coverings. We started our meeting, as we have for the past 4 months, with an update on the impacts of the pandemic in Bloomington from Dr. Nick Kelly of Bloomington's Public Health Department. This past weekend, we passed an unwanted milestone, with more than 1,000 cases of COVID-19 in Bloomington. Now, there is some news of improvement as we're seeing cases in our older neighbors declining, and that's good because we know how devastating the virus can be for seniors. However, there's reason for concern as we're seeing ongoing community spread. Our average age for cases in July is 33 years old, which means young people in our community are not being as cautious as they can be to help contain the virus. Now, we're also continuing to see a disturbing disparity in how the virus is affecting BIPOC persons in Bloomington. More than half of all cases have affected Black and Hispanic residents, even though people of color represent about 28% of total population. Our staff in public health continue to work with state and community health officials to do contact tracing, public education, and referrals for testing, as we all work to slow the spread. One of the things the council was poised to do locally was preempted last week by Governor Walz, when he issued the executive order requiring face coverings to be worn in places of public accommodation. The council had a public hearing scheduled to consider an ordinance that would have required masks in Bloomington. It's better that the order is statewide, so there isn't a patchwork of regulations. The council tabled the ordinance indefinitely, leaving open the possibility of considering the ordinance in the future if the executive order is lifted. On ranked choice voting, the City Council this week passed a resolution to place a question on the ballot this November for Bloomington voters to decide if they want to use ranked choice voting for city elections. If the voters pass the charter amendment, it could take effect for the next election for City Council seats in 2021. The ranked choice method could only be used for City of Bloomington elections. It won't apply to the school board election, and it can't be used in even-year elections for the state legislature and other elected offices. Using the ranked choice voting method would eliminate the need to have a primary election in odd-numbered years, which will save taxpayers about $75,000 in the first year it's used and over $100,000 a year for each city election after that. City staff will be preparing informational and educational materials to explain what ranked choice voting is and how it works, so that voters in November can make an informed choice. With regards to our budget update, City staff checked in with the council this week to provide an update on the city's budget for this year and 2021. Many of our Bloomington neighbors have been impacted during the pandemic by job losses and business closures. Those same economic impacts affect the city. The hospitality industry here in Bloomington continues to suffer. Hotels are missing business, and summer travelers, restaurants, and bars are struggling, and attractions at places like the Mall of America are slowly reopening. If the current conditions don't improve this year, the City of Bloomington will likely have a budget shortfall this year of about $14 million. Our staff has identified budget strategies to solve the shortfall this year, but next year is going to be a challenge. You might recall that the council appointed a group of 9 residents to a community budget advisory committee. The committee has met 6 times already, and they are studying how to close the budget gap for 2021. We are expecting that less lodging tax from hotels and other revenues means we are starting our budget process with a gap of about $6 million. The committee will be doing community outreach in September and October to get resident input on city services that you value, ideas that you might have to address this budget challenge, and what services you might be willing to do without. Meanwhile, the committee will be making recommendations to the council about what an acceptable tax levy will be in 2021. Stay tuned over the next couple of months as these decisions will affect all of us. And having your voice in this process is really important to us and to you. Well, that's the Council Minute for this week. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great week, Bloomington.